You know what it is. Unique Mecca Audio, man. I'm here. I had Chucky reach out to me. Y'all know Chucky from the TV show. You know what I mean? That done slaughtered everything. So Chucky reached out to me. She been watching a lot of my videos, and she had a few questions. So I'm gonna play one of the videos about, how I felt like Job and everything was taken away from me. And Chucky got a few questions for me. You know what I mean? So let's bring Chucky up so she can introduce herself.
Hi, I'm Chucky. I'm 23.
Okay, you're 23?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, we're gonna play one of the videos so that they could, see what's going on. Flashing lights. So me, I'm not respecting that. You know what I mean? So I jets off. Woof. You know what I mean? So I run, hit 150th. I make a left, and when I pull over, as soon as I pull over, they come over and they ask for ID. So when they ask for ID, I give them my ID, and I got a fake ID with a different name, a Spanish name. You know what I mean? Something like Juan Gomez or something. So now when they ask me for that, they look at it and they just throw it back in my face. They say, "We know who you are, Unique. This is how I got arrested." They say, "We know who you are." So they pick me up and they, put me in the back of the car, take me down to 132nd precinct. I get down to 132nd precinct, spent the night down there. That next morning, they shoot me down to MDC. MCC, that is. They shoot me down to MCC. So I get down to MCC, and they bring me in, and they open up the indictment. When they open the indictment, they got me on for the Kingpin charge. They kept talking about, you got a gas chamber waiting. We gonna put you in the gas chamber. You know what I mean? Because, it's the Kingpin charge, the biggest charge you could get for drugs, So they hit me with that joint. So right there, I felt like, damn, the world is crashing. But I don't trip, So then they send me up to Otisville. So while I'm up at Otisville, I'm waiting for them to come take me and move me down to, Virginia. So I get down to Virginia and they take me down to a little post office. And the judge come out, put on a black robe in the post office, mail all at my feet. I know I told y'all about that, but this is going into something, let you know how I felt like I lost everything. So now they done took me there, and from there they take me over to Virginia Beach. They put me in a little small joint, only hold 14 people. And I'm in the holdover. My man L there, big shout out to Big L, for my butt naked. We, with Corey and them, Wolf and the whole nine, So they got me over there at Virginia Beach. So now, about 2 days later, they moved me and they put me to this other part of the jail. That was, it was raggedy. Now I got 18 cells, but this joint is old, the paint chipping, the ceiling leaking. Everything is just crazy. So now when they take me over there, I'm laying down in bed and I'm thinking, damn, I went from driving fancy cars, pocket full of money, doing what I want to do, to be sitting in here. Could you imagine what went through my mind? I'm sitting in here looking around and I'm like, and all they kept talking about, oh, you're looking at the gas chamber, you're looking at the gas chamber. So while they telling me that about looking at the gas chamber, I'm laying back. Then they take me over to the courthouse. Now they take me over to the courthouse. Didn't you have a question about them telling me I'm looking at the gas chamber?
Yes. How do you feel? How did you feel when they told you that you were gonna be in a gas chamber? How
I
did you
mean,
react?
at the time when they told me that, it was like my head was spinning. You know what I mean? But I know a lot of things are scared tactics, and I know I did a lot of things on the street that, I deserve to be in prison. But now they talking about a gas chamber, So all I'm thinking about is when I was a kid, my father took me to the boardwalk in Atlantic City, and they had a little trailer that was set up like a prison, like a prison cell, and had a gas chamber in it. You know what I mean? One of them old little tube-looking trailers. And when I walked in it, they had a little cell in there, and that always stuck in my mind. So when they said that, I'm looking at a gas chamber, all I'm thinking about is they're going to put me in there, and then they're going to turn on the gas and they're going to kill me, But I knew that, I had to hold my own, and I couldn't let them see my fear. Because at the time, of course, I was nervous. You know what I mean? My head was racing, but I didn't let them get into my head, to change my thoughts. You understand, from where I'm at, as far as, I violated, I got caught, I got to deal with it, Of course, that's when they started yelling, we know you getting the drugs from somebody, telling us who you getting the drugs from. I wasn't trying to hear all that. I couldn't tell on nobody, so all I had to do was think like, damn, they're gonna try and kill me. You know what I mean? But I knew I had to fight, you know? So, you know, that's how I felt. Anything else?
No.
They bring me in there with like 12 other dudes. I don't even know none of them dudes. But they got us all handcuffed, you know, next to each other, chained, you know, together. So they bring us in the courtroom and they call out my name, you know, because I'm the lead on the indictment. And then they call out these other names, and the people next to me that's chained with me that I'm thinking going in for their own issues, they stand up, you know. So when they stand up and I'm looking, I'm thinking when we was just back in the bullpen, these same dudes was over there talking about, man, they brought me down from the state. I'm already serving time for that shooting of that, you know, the little girl that got hit in the little turf war. You know what I mean? I already copped out to that, so I don't understand why they got me down here. Another dude saying, yeah, I already pled guilty to the little couple of, you know, ounces I got caught with. And everybody talking about how they already pled guilty, and they talking about, man, I'm telling when I go in, I tell it. So I'm sitting there, I'm not saying nothing because my lawyer already told me don't say nothing because you got dudes that be jumping on cases. Big shout out to Gene Oscar that called in the other day that came to testify on my behalf about how they jump on people's cases. All right. So now my question to you is, how would you feel if they told you was looking at a gas chamber?
I would, you know, just have so much feelings, so much thoughts in my head.
So much thoughts like what?
Like, I'm not going to see nobody that I care for. I'm not going to be there, you know, to support others.
And what else?
And, you know, just being around, you know, pushing forward in life. Because if they're telling you that you're going to die in a chamber, you're not getting nowhere in life.
So how do you think you would function after hearing something like that?
What happened?
How do you think you'll function after hearing something like that? What would be going through your mind other than what you just shared?
Just my thoughts would be, you know, will it be the next day or that same day?
Would what be the next day or the same day?
When they had said to me that they're going to put me in a chamber.
Oh, would they kill you that day or the next day?
Or the next day.
Okay. All right. So my thing to that is, what would you suggest that I should have done to prevent being put in that situation?
Not have commit on what you have done.
That's a good answer. And that's what we're sitting here trying to tell the youth, that whatever you're doing wrong, stop it, because you don't want to have to wind up these people threatening you that you're looking at a gas chamber. You understand what I'm saying? Now, would you want somebody, do you want someone to tell on you if they got caught to prevent going to the gas chamber?
No, because, you know, you can't be a snitch.
Yeah, okay. Now, would you tell on somebody if they ask you to tell on somebody?
No.
You know? So, you know, that's the point that I'm making. So what would you do to prevent that?
Stay away as much as possible.
Okay, so what would you tell the young people watching this?
Don't hang out with bad influence, because bad influence is gonna get you nowhere and it's gonna get you locked up.
Okay, that way you don't have to be put in that situation to have to tell on somebody to wind up losing your freedom, right?
Yep.
Okay, because now the part that we playing in the video is where the guys that I was locked up with, they already talking about telling on each other to prevent, you know what I mean, getting time in prison. You follow me? All right, so I'm gonna let it play and we'll see if you got any more questions. So they sitting there and everybody, you know, standing up in the courtroom now, and they said, that's your co-defendants. I'm like, co-defendants? I mean, all these dudes was already talking about telling from we was in the back holding cell. You know, if I would have known that was them before I got my hands cuffed, I would have moved out on them, you know, but, you know, hands was cuffed. So now when they said that, I said, man, you got me up here with these rat bastards, You understand what I'm saying? And it was a dude standing next to me. You know what I mean? Big shout out to him. You know what I mean? Because he the only one that kept it real. You know, as soon as I said rat bastard, he tried to hook off for me, but he chained to somebody else. You know what I mean? My hands chained around my waist. You know what I mean? And another one chained to him. Then someone else chained to the next person, and so on. So he tried to hook off for me. And when he tried to hook off, he pulled the cuff. The dudes next to him came. You know, they leaned over with it because, you know, he pulled the cuffs tight when he went to throw the blow at me for calling him a rat bastard. You know what I mean? So when he did that, we all fall on the floor. And we all over there fighting and pushing each other off, and we trying to wrestle with the cuffs on, and we shackled in the courtroom, and we fighting like we fighting in the courtroom. This how my arraignment went. This how I meet my co-defendants. So when this go on, and they get everybody up and get all the police in there, and they get everything in order, then they ask, you know, the judge asks, what's wrong? What's going on? You know what I mean? So my question to you is, what would you do if you was in that situation where you chained up with a bunch of other people and they telling you that these are your co-defendants and they all talking about telling? What would you do and how would you feel? You chained up and they're telling you this and you're hearing this.
What would I do? Honestly, I would try to fight back, you know, to be away from them. And how I'll feel is just, I'll feel like trying to put myself to be motivated, because if I'm still in the situation with them, it's just gonna put me down. It is gonna keep me in a position that I don't want to be in.
And how would you prevent being in that situation?
Not hanging out with them, being in my own lane.
But you already chose to be with them. So how would you now decide to say, oh, I don't want to be with them when it's already too late? You're looking at, you know, the gas chamber, or you're looking at 20 years in prison.
I could fight my sentence, but also have my lawyer try to convince that judge that to let me free, basically.
But now they said that you done sent a bunch of drugs down to Virginia. People sold your drugs, used your drugs, and because of your drugs, there was turf wars, and a 14-year-old girl got shot. So how would you deal with that? What would you say to that?
I would just plead guilty.
So you'll just plead guilty to 20 years?
Yeah. Because if I shot a girl and she died,
no, she didn't die. She just got shot.
I still plead guilty because she got shot. She's hurt.
So
and because of me, that's what caused it.
So you plead guilty and take responsibility for your actions.
Yep.
Okay, so what if they told you that, you know, if you told who was with you, they'll give you less time?
I can't do that.
Why? Why you can't do that?
Because it's being a snitch. And then being a snitch, after, you know, when you get out of prison, it's going to come back at you. It's going to fall back to you within years.
Fall back to you how? Explain that in your own words.
Meaning, let's say I snitched on somebody. It's going to go back to their peoples, and they're going to end up finding me and killing me.
So you'd rather take... Go ahead, finish. Excuse me.
So to avoid that, I'd rather not say anything and just deal with it.
You know, a lot of people, you know, wouldn't say that because they'll rather bring somebody else into their misery. How do you feel about someone that'll bring somebody else in their misery by telling on them to bring them in to also be in the same predicament you're in when you got caught and you did it and you know you did it?
Just stand up to it.
You just stand up to it. Okay. All right. So let's go back to the video. I said, yo, you got me in here with all these dudes I don't even know. And he said, nah, we mean you don't know. Those are your co-defendants. I said, how are my co-defendants? I don't even know them. They said, man, it's the feds. It's called conspiracy. You don't need to know your co-defendants. We just need to know that your drugs that you sent down to Virginia hit your brother's hands, and then it hit their hands, you know what I mean? And then it hit the streets, and it turned into turf war. You know what I mean? A little girl got shot, so you're responsible for all that. I'm like, how am I responsible for all that when I'm in New York? Well, you'll find out when you go to trial. You know, so now I'm like, oh man, they got me in this joint. Like, okay, so now you sent drugs down to Virginia, and you know your brother sold the drugs. You had nothing to do with what happened in Virginia. All you did was send the drugs. How do you feel about that? What's your thoughts or questions about what you just heard?
Wait, repeat the question.
Okay, you sent drugs down to Virginia, like kilos to Virginia. Your brother sold the drugs to the people on the street. The people on the street ran into oppositions on the street, and they wound up, a little girl wound up getting shot, and somebody OD on drugs, or whatever. How do you feel about that? Them charging you for what everyone else did down there. You understand what I'm saying?
So then in that case, then I'll end up saying I didn't do it and just prove them that I didn't. Because once they find evidence, they're gonna know it wasn't me.
Yeah, but they saying that it's because of the drugs you sold that did it, even though you wasn't down there to do it. So what's your response to that?
Even though it was my drugs, they still sold it.
Yeah, so do you feel you should be responsible for what happened with the drugs that you sold, that you sent down there, that they sold, and people committed other crimes that had nothing to do with you?
Yes, because it was in my possession first.
Okay, so it was in the government's possession first too, because the government allowed it to come into the United States for it to hit the streets. So do you think the government should be charged too? Why or why not?
Yes, because they shouldn't allow that. They should put it as a certain age in order to receive the drugs.
Okay, but the people that was using the drugs was over 21,
Mm, let's see. Um, the thing is, even though they were over 21, it's still drugs in the possession.
Okay, all right, let's watch some more. So now we go back to the joint. Of course, they got us all separated, me except for the dude that was trying to swing at me, because he the only one that was going to trial, and another cat, you know what I mean, that was going to trial. And he pled guilty during the trial. You know what I mean? At the last minute. He was in the unit with me and the other cat, so he ain't want to plead guilty while we in there together. But when the trial started, and the first couple of witnesses went up there and they started talking about, oh, I bought a key from him. I bought, 9 keys from him. I bought this, I bought that. He's hurried up and pled guilty. So now he don't pled guilty. And it's just me and this other cat. You know what I mean? And we going to trial. The one that tried to hook off for me for calling him a rat. So we going to trial. And then afterwards, we go back in the joint, and then we talk, and he's letting me know, man, yo, I'm not into that pleading guilty. I already beat this same, it was a murder charge he had. He said, I already beat this same murder charge in the state twice. You understand what I'm saying? And now the feds pick it up. I said, how'd they go pick it up if you beat it in the state? You know what I mean? He said, because that's the state and this the feds, so they say they could do that. So picture, you know what I mean? So you young boys know, be careful you out there busting that gun, getting into all that, so you understand. Picture you actually out there and you beat a charge in the state, and then the feds pick it up and try you for the same thing. So this kid was, going through the murder. Now, what do you got to say about that? You had some charges in the state, you beat the charges in the state, or you already serving time for the charges in the state, and now the federal government pick up those same charges that you beat or you serving time for, and they say, we're going to charge you again, but now on the federal level. How do you feel about that? How would you react to that? What do you think about that?
I would react telling them that I deserve that I already beat the case. They shouldn't charge me, even if it's federal.
But they could do that. They allowed to do that under the law. So how do you feel about that under the law?
Yes, it's under the law, but I still could fight it, saying that I beat it, and then just try to beat the case.
Okay, good answer. Let's ride. I'm going through, the Kingpin charge, and we wound up being cool as it went on because we was the last two man standing. It was 12 of us on the indictment. My brother was on the run, the female was on the run, and my man was on the run. You know what I mean? So it was like 9 of us that was in there, and it's only 2 of us going to trial. 7 pled guilty. They all come in and testify. I don't know none of them. They all came on the stand. They even testified they don't know me. You know what I mean? They testified they don't know me. But the judge gave the instructions telling them that I'm responsible for all the drugs they sold, even though I don't know them, because it was my drugs that I shipped from New York to Virginia to my brother, because I was supplying my brother, who was one of my, workers down there. Okay, so now they tell you that, all your co-defendants that's there, they're testifying that they sold drugs, but they don't know you. They never brought drugs from you, never did anything with you with drugs, but yet they're telling you that you're responsible. The government is telling you that you're responsible for their drugs. What is your thoughts on that?
My thoughts is I shouldn't be charged for something that's not mine.
You couldn't be charged for something, but they tell you that, no, we're allowed to do that because that's how we work in the federal government.
So they're going to have to prove me guilty.
Okay, but they're taking you to trial now. So let's see what happened. So now I'm caught up for all this. So now I'm sitting in there, I go to trial, and when we go to trial, my man with the murder, he beats the trial. You know what I mean? He beats the trial. So he beat the trial and he left. I'm going to tell you about how he beat the trial in another video. But he beats the trial. You know what I mean? And the day they bringing me back, they take me out there. They got about 10 police cars and vans and all this stuff and helicopter and everything following me. And I'm in the van by myself. And while I'm walking out, I see my man at the bus stop with his suit jacket over his shoulder. And he look up at me in the van, and he just like wiped his head like, man, I dodged that one, because he know I'm going for a long road. I ain't get sentenced yet. You know what I mean? But I just got found guilty. So how would you feel if you went to trial with somebody, you got found guilty, you know you're about to get a life sentence, and they're getting ready to go home, and you see them at the bus stop when they were just sitting next to you in the courtroom looking at the same life sentence? What would go through your mind to see your friend standing on the corner?
My mind will go racing because they did the same thing I did. So why are they leaving before me? They should be, fighting the same trial as I am, because it was a part of what I did.
Yeah, but they did fight the trial, but the jury felt you was guilty and felt they was not guilty.
Then they're gonna have to end up proving me guilty because of the fact that we were all together.
But they did find you guilty, that they proved you guilty to the jury. The jury believed you was guilty and your co-defendant, your accomplice, was innocent. How would you feel about that, watching him sit at the bus station knowing he's free and you get ready to serve a life sentence in a federal prison?
Well, my mind will go just blank, feeling hurt because, they're already leaving and I'm staying in, jail for life. So, they're going to be free, and I'd rather just suck it up and just deal with the consequences.
Okay, so again, what would you tell the youth to avoid them being put in this situation, Chucky? Talk to the youth.
Never use drugs and do not follow what people tell you. If you think it's bad, don't follow them. Be a leader, don't be a follower.
Okay, good answer. So you heard that from Chucky over here now. So make sure you share this with the youth that like Chucky so much, because Chucky talking some real wisdom. They sending me back, to the county jail. So I get back to the county jail and I go back up there in the joint. And while I'm up there, I'm thinking, I said, man, from driving fancy cars, all the money, all the women, all the jewelry, to now, you know, being brought down here, going through all this, and then blowing trial. It's like, yo, what else could happen? You understand what I'm saying? So then now, that was in June. So now September, when it's time to go for sentencing. So I go in there for sentencing, and when I go in for sentencing, the judge gives me life plus 20. How would you feel if the judge gave you life plus 20 in prison?
I wouldn't know what to do
What
because
do you
I'm in
mean
jail. There's nothing to do in jail but just be in a cell. And if the judge gives you 20 years, you're
life
just
plus
gonna
20?
die.
Life plus 20.
You're just gonna be dead in jail.
So what would be your thoughts at that time? Tell me in detail. Talk to the people and then tell them why you wouldn't get involved in that.
Why I wouldn't get involved? That's what
Yes,
you said?
but what's your thoughts? What's your thought? What would be your thought pattern if the judge said, Chucky, I'm sentencing you to life plus 20 years in federal prison? What would go through your mind at that time, do you think?
What will go through my mind is I'm gonna die in jail because of the things that I've done. They already sentenced me, so there's nothing to do but just be in jail and just fight through the consequences that I have done.
So you wouldn't think about telling on your co-defendants?
But if they're gone, there's nothing else to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, but would you want them to be serving time with you too?
Yes,
Why?
but yes, because they were in the same situation and same location that I was in with the drugs, and we both got caught. But the thing is, I stood in jail. They left. So since they're gone, and I'm still gonna be in life from prison, I'd rather just speak it up now and let them try to come back. But the investigators to find them, and that way they'll be in the same boat as I am and serve the time that I'm doing.
So you would want them to get locked up again, is what you're saying?
Yes,
Okay. And why is that? Because you don't want to do the time by yourself?
it's not that. It's because they also did the same thing that I've done.
Yeah, but the jury found them not guilty. What if the jury found you not guilty and found them guilty? Would you want them to have their investigators investigate them to bring you in?
No,
So then why would you want that for your comrades if you wouldn't want it for yourself?
right. Um. Yeah. Hmm. Hmm.
That's a good one. Now think about
Yeah. The even if even if my friends have left prison and they still did what they did, the same thing as I did with the consequences, and they didn't find them guilty, they found me. In reality, I'd rather just let them go because it all falls on the situation with me with the drugs. It was in my possession, it was mine. So I'd rather let them go and and just for me to deal with what I have done.
Okay, so now tell the youth, how would you avoid being in that situation that I just put you in?
To avoid the situation is don't ever use drugs and do not follow negative people's steps because following a negative person is going to lead you in a bad way. It's going to lead you in a situation that you don't want to be in.
Okay, tell them how old you are, Chuck.
I am 23 years old.
So are you learning anything from this conversation? And what?
Yes. To never follow people's footsteps and do not If something is yours that's not legal, don't give it to nobody. Just keep it for yourself.
Okay, good answer. Let's get back to the video. Get to this. You understand what I'm saying? So now they sent me back to the county jail. So now I'm in the jail. I got life plus 20. You know what I mean? And I'm waiting for them to process my paperwork, see where they're going to send me. So now they sends me over to Lewisburg. But right before I go to Lewisburg, on October 1st, they come and that's when they tell me that my brother was killed. If that don't sound like Job, they come bring the news that my brother was killed, got shot twice in the head. Okay, how would you feel if you just got sentenced to life plus 20, you know you're getting ready to go to prison for the rest of your life, and they come tell you that your sister was killed?
My mind will go racing, and I'd rather just tell them to put me in a chamber since I'm gonna already die, since I'm already doing 25 in life.
Okay, and how would you avoid being in that situation once again? I'm going to keep asking that question.
To avoid being in this situation, do not hang out with people that will lead you in the wrong way. Be with positive people who will lead you in the right way that will lead you to success.
Okay, all right, let's go. You understand what I'm saying? I don't see at Washington while I'm in Virginia Beach. So picture what I'm thinking. I done lost all of this. Now my brother done got killed. You know, so I'm laying there. I'm like, man, it can't get no worse than this. You know what I mean? Then they send me to Lewisburg. And like I said, my first day in Lewisburg, you know what I mean? They put me in a hole. You know, they take me down there to what they call Quay. That's where they decide what unit they're going to put you in, you know? And then they put me out on the compound. The same day I go on the compound, I see a dude get killed. A dude get killed, stabbed in the neck. Another dude kicked a knife in his neck. Now, I told you all about that. I'm just giving you all the whole scenario in the play out. So now you get sentenced to life. You were driving big fancy cars. You had all the jewelry. You had all the men. You had everybody you wanted. And then now you go and you get sentenced to life plus 20. They tell you your brother got killed. And then now you're in Lewisburg, the toughest penitentiary in the United States, and you see somebody get killed and a knife kicked in his neck. How would you feel at that moment?
I would just have my jaws dropped, meaning I'm gonna die in prison. They killed my sister, and then now I see, you know, a prisoner getting killed right in front of me. So it's like there's no need to be in jail anymore.
Okay, you see what I'm saying? That's what I had to go through, and that's what I'm trying to prevent the youth from going through by making these videos and doing what I'm doing on this channel. And that's why I'm talking to you as a youth, 23 years old, so the youth could understand that this is real hard for you to fathom. Did you ever think that you would be put in a situation to ask questions like this, answer questions like this?
No.
And how do you feel being asked these situations and put in this situation?
I feel motivated because then it helps me to help others know the consequences and for them to listen on every word that's being said in this video.
See, that's what I'm saying. And to share this video, like this video, and they need to put a cash app so we can produce more of these videos, right or wrong?
Right.
All right. So let's go back. Now I'm watching a dude get killed right in front of me where they putting me to serve a life sentence. And I'm 29 years old. Could you imagine what was going through my head? Like, yo, this is where I'm at. Like, how I fall from grace, from fancy cars, jewelry, money, women. You understand what I'm saying? Traveling all over the world. So now I'm sitting in a cage watching another man kill another man for what I know is no reason. And I said, oh, man. So then now I'm up in there. And then next thing you know, they locked the jail down, you know, for the crack law. You know what I mean? So when they locked that down, here come the goon squad coming in. Next thing you know, they shooting tear gas in there. I'm going to give you little details about all that later. They shooting tear gas all up in there. So I got no choice but to fight. You know what I mean? I got no choice but to fight. So now I'm sitting there fighting. I'm rumbling. You know, we doing our thing. And, you know, it's on and popping, you know. So now while that's going on, they come up in there. They beat us up, hog tie us, and drag us out, take us down in the basement. You know what I mean? And leave us on the floor for 18 hours, handcuffed and shackled. educate on ourselves. You youngins want to be a part of this world. This is the world I was in. So now I'm laying out on the ground for 18 hours, handcuffed and shackled, and it's a hill going down like this. While the hill going down like that, I'm passing out because the handcuffs are so tight and the beating was so severe they gave me. I mean, they beat me like a runaway slave. Okay, so how would you feel if they put you in that situation where you get tear gas, they handcuff you, shackle you, and drag you down in the basement and leave you down there after everything you've been through with losing your sister, getting sentenced to life, driving fancy cars, having all the jewels, all the money, and all the fame? How would you feel?
I would feel that it's my time to fight, because if they're gonna, put gas in the by the cell, it's time for you to fight, because yes, they're gonna put you in the basement, and yes, you're handcuffed, but you can still try to fight your way out of it, because there's a way to escape jail.
And how is that?
What happened?
And how is that what's the way to fight to escape jail?
Just getting through it.
Okay, so what would you tell the youth to avoid putting that situation? Once again,
stay away from negative people, follow your dreams, follow your goals, and be proactive.
All right. Laying on the floor, and it's dark down there because, Lewisburg, everybody know they ain't got no fluorescent lights and all that back then. All they had was light bulbs, 40-watt light bulbs. So it's dark and gloomy. I'm laying down and I'm thinking, how did I wind up here? How did I wind up here? This is what I'm thinking. So I'm, trying to look up and count the lights. You know what I mean? To take my mind off of the pain that I'm feeling from the flexi cuffs being so tight around my wrist. You understand what I'm saying? I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh man, God, what else you gonna do? You know what I mean? So the next thing you know, the chaplain comes over there and he act like he's concerned and he's checking my handcuffs. You know what I mean? And when I say, yeah, they tight, could you loosen them? He picked me up by my wrist, and that made the cuffs even tighter. Well, I wanted to scream with all my might, but I seen the glare in his eyes that he's enjoying it. So I couldn't let him get satisfaction from seeing me scream from the pain that he's inflicting on me. How would you feel being put in that situation? How would you feel about God at that moment? Honestly.
Just try to fight your way out of it, because there's always a way to get out of something.
Yeah, but how would you feel about God? Would you still have faith in God at that moment?
Yes, because there's always, how do I say, there's always that light. How do I explain it?
There's always that light at the end of the tunnel.
Yes.
Okay. And how would you avoid being put in that situation? Talk to the youth for me, please.
To avoid being in that situation and avoid being in jail, just don't do dumb stuff. You have to focus on yourself. Don't focus on others.
So you have to be your own boss and your own leader, right?
Yeah.
All right, let's go back to the video. So I just laid there, closed my eyes, man, and I said a prayer and told God, please help me out of this one, man. I don't know where the hell I'm going next. You know what I mean? So then the next day, 18 hours later, they moved me up in a cell that holds 2 people and had 10 of us in the cell. Now, where the hell you lay down with 10 men in the cell? And we all beat up and broken up from where they beat us. I mean, they beat us bad. So if you youngins want to enter this world, keep doing what you're doing. That's why I'm telling you, don't even get involved. So I'm telling you my horror story. So now I'm laying down in there with 10 men. We all on the ground. We so hurt so bad. You know what I mean? We all laying on the concrete. You know what I mean? They give us a little sheet. They don't even give us a blanket. They give us one sheet. You know what I mean? Now, from them beating us, we got blood everywhere. My mouth busted up, then I knocked my teeth out and everything. You know what I mean? It was teeth everywhere. I could imagine what they felt like cleaning it up. Teeth was everywhere because they done broke us all up, man. Them Europeans wasn't nothing nice over there. So now we up there, and then they rush us through DHO at 1 o'clock in the morning. The jail is normally closed down at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. 1 o'clock in the morning, they can pull us out the cell and they run us through what they call DHO. That's the disciplinary hearing officer to give you, you know, your sanction, you know what I mean, your punishment, you know what I mean, for what they call it, the riot over there after they shot the tear gas in and tried to kill me, where I couldn't breathe, so I had no choice but to fight. You know what I mean? So now I'm sitting up in there, and they take me through the DHO, and they said guilty. You know? So now picture that. You're going through all that, like you said earlier, they don't shot tear gas in you, so they force you to have to fight. And then they take you to DHO, which is disciplinary hearing officer, which is the jail court system within the prison system. How would you feel if they found you guilty for that when you was fighting to save your life?
How would I feel if they found me guilty? I'd rather, deal with the consequences. Because if I'm already guilty, there's no way out of it.
But you put yourself in that situation, right or wrong?
Right.
And how would you prevent being put in that situation?
To not do I'll explain it. Not sell drugs and not hang out with people that's gonna put me to sell drugs. Hang out with people, that's keeping you motivated and stay away from jail. Because jail is nothing. Jail is gonna either get you killed or you're not gonna come out of jail.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so you dead broke and somebody come and say, hey, Chucky, I'm going to pay you $5,000 a week if you look out and let me know when the police is coming. What would you say to that?
Wait, what happened?
You're dead broke. You're broke. You have nowhere to stay, and somebody come and say, hey, I want you to look out for the police, and if the police is coming, I want you to let me know, and I'm going to pay you $5,000 a week to look out. But if you get caught, you can't say nothing. You got to go do the time with us because you're a part of us now.
I'll do it because they're helping me find a way to stay.
Okay, now you'll do it. But then now you do it, and the consequences is everything we just witnessed that I mentioned in this video. Would you still do it?
No.
Okay, so your first impression was, I need the money, right or wrong?
Right.
Your second thought was, it's not worth it after watching this Unique Mecca audio video, right?
No, it's not worth it.
So I'm going to ask you again, would you do it?
No.
Okay, good answer.
Because
That's
it's not worth it.
What'd you just say?
I said it's not worth it.
Okay, but a minute ago you answered that you would do it.
Because the money will help you. Okay, but then it's going to lead to consequences.
Okay. So what is worth it? The $5,000 or the consequences to go through what we just witnessed in this video?
The consequences.
So that's going to prevent you from wanting to do it, right or wrong?
Right.
All right, let's watch the rest of the video. They ain't want to hear nothing. They said guilty. Then they say, oh, you had a knife, so you got a knife shot too. So being that you got a knife, you guilty, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? You done gone through the police. We sending you out to, a new place we got, the Alcatraz of the Rockies, they called it. That's how they told me I was going to ADX. And you going to the Alcatraz of the Rockies. So I'm like, come on, man, what you doing? And that's the way I am. I mean, it's crazy. See, where's that? How do I point to that? Oh, right here. You see these handcuffs? This is how they kept me the whole time in the cell for about 30 days, man. Kept me handcuffed for 30 days like that. That's why I got them handcuffs up there. You know what I mean? How would you feel if they handcuffed you in a cell for 30 days?
I would feel just drained because you're in a handcuff. You're not able to move the way you have to move. So having your hands behind your back, there's nothing else to do.
Okay. And what would you do to prevent that again?
stay away from people, you know, stay positive and do good for yourself, do good in life. Just don't follow people. Don't be a follower, be a leader.
Okay. Let's get back to the video. It's time to feed you. They let you take the cuffs off, but you got to back up, put your hands out the back of the door. They take the cuffs off, you know what I mean? And then they give you a tray, take the handcuffs. You sit down, you eat, and they come back and then they cuff you again. And then they leave you back up. And you with 10 people, but you know, they saying that we might have jumped on each other because we supposed to be the wildest of the wildest in the BOP. So they got us, 10 of us in a cell handcuffed together, going through this crap. You know what I mean? So then now, they started taking people out 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. They calling names, everybody leaving. After about 3-4 days, ain't nobody left but 6 of us. And I'm talking about in the whole dorm that had like over 100 people. Now 6 of us left. Everybody else left. They sent them to Terry Hut, you know what I mean? And they started what they called a pilot program where they kept them in the hole for 18 months because they couldn't really send them to ADX because they ain't, you know, put in the, you know, not bragging, they ain't putting the work that me and the other 6 put in. All right. So now you're in a cell with 10 men, and in a couple of days they take all of them out, and you're the only one left. What do you think would be going through your mind at that time, what they're going to do to you?
They're just gonna end up putting me in the chamber to kill me.
And how would you respond to that? What would be your thoughts?
My thoughts is I caused the consequences. I caused this. So it's my responsibility to deal with my actions.
Okay, and would you do the things you did again that led you to be in that situation?
No.
Why not?
Because then it's gonna lead me to the same path as before.
So if you had a chance to do it over, if you had a
No,
chance to do it, excuse me?
No, I want to do it over.
Okay, let's get back to the video. So they sends us up to ADX. They sends them up to Terry Hut. So then they move me to another part of, you know, Lewisburg in the hole. And this is wintertime. You know, it's cold as hell out there, but they got this big hot ass pipe, like I told you before, that run through the joint, and the heat burning so hard. I had to wrap blankets around it and rip sheets up, because now they gave us sheets and blanket. Wrap the blankets around the joint, you know what I mean? Rip the sheets up, tie it up. Then I had to get water and keep pouring water on the blanket that's on this big pipe that went through the whole cell from the first floor to the 3rd floor. Every cell got one of these pipes because it's ran by cold. They don't never turn it off. This joint is on even in the summertime. In the summertime, this hot ass pipe is still on. So picture this. Picture laying there in the summer. It's 80 degrees outside, and you got a heating pipe running in a 4x8 cell. How do you think you would survive in that situation?
I want to be able to survive.
So what would you do to prevent that?
To not go back to jail, to not do the nonsense that I've caused.
Okay. All right. We had to lay on the floor like fish trying to breathe under the door, man. And I'm laying there, man, and while I'm trying to breathe under the door, I felt like my lungs was collapsing. I'm thinking like, God, what did I do to wind up in this situation? You know what I mean? And then I just said, man, I'm going to leave it in your hands, man. You know, plenty of nights it got so hot that I passed out laying there trying to breathe under the door. So I'm telling y'all, man, don't even get involved in the crime because you ain't trying to go through this. You know, we had to keep pouring water on the blanket, on the pipe, to keep the blanket, you know what I mean, to keep the heat down by throwing water from the sink on the blanket all night. We had to get up middle of the night to go water down the blanket, because if you didn't do that, the pipe was so hot, the blanket would catch on fire. The blanket would catch on fire. This is how they got me living for 2 months in the hole over at Lewisburg. Okay, so now I had to go through that. A couple of nights, I was so tired from working out or staying up the night before, pouring water on the blanket, and the blanket caught on fire. So imagine if you're sleeping and you wake up because you smell smoke and you see a blanket that you got wrapped around a pipe like 8 feet in the air, and it's on fire and smoke is coming from it. How would you feel? How would you react? What would be your thought?
My thoughts is to escape right away, because if I stay there, I'm gonna end up dying because there's a blanket caught on fire.
But you locked in the cell. There's no way out. You're locked in.
If I'm locked in, I'd rather, just let the fire go.
Okay, well, I couldn't let the fire go, because if I let the fire go, that means I'm going to burn, because who knows when the police is going to make a round. So I had to jump up, throw water on the blanket, piss on the blanket, and every goddamn thing else, put anything named liquid on that goddamn blanket. You know what I mean? Could you imagine living like that?
No.
Uh-huh.
But if I had to do it, I would.
No, we all would if we had to, because we wouldn't have a choice. But would you put yourself in a situation to wind up in that situation?
No.
Good answer. Great answer. From October to January, to December, January. Then out of nowhere, they come pick me up, and then they take me and they send me over there to Oklahoma. When they send me to Oklahoma, I get there and I'm thinking, all right, well, I get a chance to move around now, maybe get a good meal. All they gave me was bologna, and cheese, and sometimes just cheese. I didn't eat meat at the time, so they gave us the bologna and cheese. I'm trading my bologna for the cheese, so I'm eating, 2 slices of cheese with 4 slices of bread. Trying to feel the hunger in my stomach. You understand what I'm saying? So then now, they send me over to Oklahoma, so I just know I'm going to get a good meal. So I get to Oklahoma, and as soon as I get off the plane, they shoot me straight up to a cell. They rushed me past everybody, me and the 6 brothers that was with me. They rushed all 6 of us straight upstairs to the top floor, and we wondering when they going to feed us. They said, oh, they didn't feed you on the plane? I said, no, how was they going to feed us on the plane when we shackled to our waist and can't move our hands? Oh, well, they should have fed you. So I still ain't getting nothing to eat. So now the next morning, they come at 4 o'clock in the morning, they wake us up and tell us the airlift is here. We get ready to get flown over to Colorado, because we in Oklahoma at the time, because we going to ADX. So that's when we went to ADX, and I told you all the story about that. When we got there, they beat us up, beat us bad, and put us in a joint and put us in there. So now I'm in ADX, and I'm thinking, how did I fall from grace? From, like I said, driving fancy cars, all the money, all the jewels, all the women, you know what I mean? I'm throwing the best parties. You understand what I'm saying? I'm wearing Dapper Dan outfits. I'm doing me. And now I'm locked in a cell for 23 hours a day, 5 days a week, and 24 hours for Saturday and Sunday, because you don't come out on the weekend. So I'm wondering, how did I wind up here? So that's why I'm telling y'all, how not to wind up there. And the best way not to wind up there is not to get involved in crime. That's all I could tell you. Don't get involved in it, because you ain't trying to get locked up. You ain't trying to go through what I went through, man. I definitely don't want to go through it again. And I definitely don't want you to go through it. So don't say I didn't tell you. Nobody told me, so I got a fake excuse. It's a fake excuse because I should have known better. You know what I mean? But God said, don't hold a fool responsible for what he don't know. And I definitely didn't know, and I definitely was a fool. So that's why I'm trying to tell y'all how not to be a fool. You understand what I'm saying? By not getting involved so you don't get caught up in this bull. It's nothing nice, man. But I'm laying there, and it's like, then I hear my grandmother died. I mean, my grandfather first, and then my grandmother, and I'm like, what else could happen? Then I get a visit from one of my children's mothers, and she tell me, well, you're going to be in there for the rest of your life. So I found a man, I'm getting ready to get married, and I don't want to bring my daughter up here in this environment, so you're not going to be able to see your daughter again. How would you feel at that moment if, your man came to tell you that you're doing life in jail, I found a man, and I'm not going to bring your daughter up here because I don't want to bring her in that environment? How would you feel about that?
It's going to tear me apart, because it's my child. I'm not going to be able to see her.
Well, that's how I had to live for my choices. What more? I done lost my grandmother, my grandfather, my brother, and now my child's mother telling me I'm not going to be able to see my own daughter. I went about 18 years before I saw my daughter. About 16. Because when I saw my daughter, it might be 14. When I saw my daughter for the first time, she was 16. And she was so beautiful, and it felt so good to see her. You know what I mean? I love her with all my heart. But you know, the mother's in control and we in there, so now I'm stuck for my actions. So I can't blame nobody but me. You know? But man, I don't wish this on nobody, man. That's why I'm doing these YouTube joints. Make sure y'all hit that like button, man. I don't wish this on nobody. When she come tell me that, you know, she's not gonna bring my daughter no more. So now I don't serve my little 4 years. I come up out of ADX and I get to Allenwood. So when I get to Allenwood, you know, my father dies. Yeah, I hear my father died. That's grandma, grandpa, my brother, and now my father. How would you feel to go through everything that I just shared with you that I went through?
I would feel devastated.
Devastated. Good answer. I'm like, man, what more, Joe? Where are we going with this? I mean, I haven't suffered enough, you know? And then here it is, the lady that was like, you know, my best friend, you know, that raised me, you know, she died. I'm like, where are we going with this? You understand? And at this time, I haven't talked to my mother in maybe 7 years because they was chasing her down. So they done took my mother out of my life. God just blessed me and kept her alive, and she's alive with us today. You know what I mean? And, you know, she always told me, baby, you coming home. Don't worry about it. Just continue to be a man and stand on your principles. You know what you entered into, so you know what you got to do. I told you not to get involved. You chose to get involved, but you know what the rules are. And the rules were simple as day, man. Rules were simple as day. That's why I'm telling y'all what the rules are, so you know don't get involved, so you don't have to follow these crazy rules. Because once you break the law and you hit the street, the same way you wouldn't want nobody to tell on you, it's the same way you're not supposed to tell on your comrade. Period. Because the Bible even say, want for your brother what you want for yourself. So if you wouldn't want your brother to tell on you, no reason for you to tell on your brother. That's why I said don't get involved in that, man. Don't get involved in crime. Stay away from it, man. Them people got somewhere to put you you not gonna like, man. And that was just my few years in the prison. That had nothing to do with, you know, when I hit Allenwood and then they sent me out to Lum Park and sent me to Coleman and sent me to Lee County and, you know, sent me to Atwater and, you know, back to Coleman and, you know, and then out to Victorville. Them people got something for you, man. You know, it's like living like that. And everywhere you go, every day the deuces is going on because somebody is fighting or stabbing somebody. Man, I've been on here long enough, man. If y'all don't get it by now, I don't know what to tell you, man. So, you know, all I'm going to tell you, make sure you cop the book of Rowan Harlem. Cop the book of Rowan Harlem. You know what I mean? At rowanharlem.com. Got the audio book also. Hit that like button, subscribe and share. And I went to have a meal up in Long Island, you know, on Friday. That was so good I had to make a video about it. You know, up at Nautica Mile, a joint called Platinum Cuisine. You know what I mean? Fire. You know what I mean? The food was good. The atmosphere was good. The staff was good. I mean, if you're ever up in Long Island, make sure you go there, man. It was so good. I had to get the ladies that own the joint, run the joint to do a little video, and I told them I'd do a little promo for them. So on the strength of that, man, I'm about to tap out. And I'm telling you, don't go to these people prison. You're not going to like it. They got somewhere to put that ass, man. So stop breaking the law, man. All right? That's all. Now, for us to close out, I want you to tell the youth what you got from this video and this interview and experience that we just shared. What is your message to the youth?
With what I got with this video is never follow somebody's footsteps that's leading you in the wrong way. Always have positive people around you because those positive people is going to get you to the right path. Having negative people is going to lead you to the wrong path, and it's going to end up, you're going to end up either being dead or you're going to either be locked up. So always be with positive people, have positive mind, do good for yourself, and nothing's going to ever go wrong for you.
Great answer. Now we're going to let this run out. You stop breaking the law. Because them people is not playing and it ain't nothing nice, you know, because everybody think that it's a joke and it's a game, but it ain't nothing nice about that, man. it definitely ain't nothing nice about that. So that's why I'm telling y'all like it is. You know, it's real. You know, don't even get involved in it, because you know I had to go through it. I wasn't happy. You know what I mean? I didn't like it. I didn't want to be a part of it, and I definitely don't want you to be a part of it. You know, so don't say like I said that no one never told you, because I'm the first one telling y'all, and now y'all know what time it is. You know, all right. So.
Hi guys, welcome to Platinum Cuisines. We're located in Freeport on the Nautical Mile. Just wanted to introduce my partner, Amy.
Hi guys, how are you? And this is my sister-in-law, Diana, another partner. I just ask that you come support our minority-owned business. We serve Asian fusion, Caribbean cuisine, and we have a beautiful restaurant located on the Nautical Mile in Freeport, New York. And we're asking that you come check us out, and also make sure to tune in to Mecca Audio TV.
Cheers, cheers, toast the crime, toast the crime, the crime, the crime, the crime.
Let's go. Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio, Mecca what? Mecca audio.
Fresh out the can of 26, yeah. He back on the strip, getting back in the mix. Yeah. What he mentions a gift. You stand up 10 toes down, and I suggest you pay attention to this. Real. Take a little gully posse and put it in Harlem. He cut from the bottom, came up from the bottom. Drop the book, you should go and get it. The Instagram page and the YouTube, you could go and visit. Yeah. Then you could consider yourself LinkedIn. Real. Sit front row and get Jews from a kingpin. How he went through it, so you ain't gotta go do it. To not pay attention would be stupid. Talking about a man that probably put your grandfather on. Probably the reason that him and your grams got along. A man that generated millions on the block, did his time, never squilling to the cops, Mecca audio.